Hi everyone, this is Kiss My Mic and welcome to another episode of my podcast. So today I want to talk about Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. I want to start by saying that we are still mourning the death of Pope Francis and really just wanted to honor what he's done for the LGBTQ community. But with that, there's also this conversation about who's going to be the next pope. And I don't know who all the different contenders are, but I know that one person that I want to see being considered or hopefully get the position to be the leader of the Catholic Church is none other than Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. I mean, of course I'm Filipino, but I think if we really look at some of his teachings, if we really talk about some of the things that he's done, a lot of his messaging are really similar to Pope Francis as well. And those things really resonate with me. So, first of all, let's do a little background on who Cardinal Tagle is. So, as we know, Cardinal Tagle was born in the Philippines. He was born in 1957, and he was actually the Archbishop of Manila. And I'm going to read some cheat sheets here. He was appointed as the prefect of the congregation for the evangelization of peoples. But he's actually built somewhat of a reputation. People often call him the Asian Francis. The Asian version of Pope Francis. He is known for his kindness, his relatability, and also his alignment with Pope Francis in terms of compassionate leadership. I really like that term of compassionate leadership because I feel like in the Catholic Church, there's many different approaches, that they've done before, particularly towards LGBTQ people. We've had a long history of messaging based on, I want to say, hatred. It's really more condemnation. Like for the longest time, the message towards homosexuals or LGBTQ is that of a condemnation, that it's wrong, it's sin, and so on and so forth. But with some of the recent teachings from Pope Francis, it's evolved into something else where it's more compassionate, it's more accepting. I talked about that in my previous podcast episode in terms of what he's done. But a lot of times, for the most part, Cardinal Tagle's perspective is similar to Pope Francis as well. He is advocating for being more compassionate, steering away from sort of the older way of condemning LGBTQs and actually finding a way for LGBTQs to sort of connect back to church and to welcome them. And so that's really important. That's really encouraging for me, as an LGBTQ, as a Filipino, as someone who grew up in Catholic Church, and as someone who's also longing for that community or acceptance from God. I keep emphasizing that what I'm looking for is acceptance from God. It's not necessarily from people, because the people that are members of the church may not be accepting. They're interpreting it in their own ways. And the trouble is, they go beyond really just accepting the word for themselves and how they can change their own lives. But then they start going after other people and telling them what they can and cannot do. So for me, I think that should be the distinction. We really should just practice based on our own beliefs and how we can change our own lives and then let God do, the rest, right? So anyway, going back to Cardinal Tagle, some of his teachings, right? Particularly his emphasis towards accepting LGBTQs, to adopt a more compassionate approach. In 2015, these are some examples. He made an address in London where he acknowledged the harm caused by the church's past use of harsh words towards gay individuals, and also towards divorced and separated people and unwed mothers, leading to their isolation from society. Finally, somebody that can understand the consequences or the impacts of these actions from the Catholic Church, particularly when Pope Benedict was Pope, where when the stance was really towards condemnation, it was one of those moments, where I felt like I wanted to connect back to God, but then I'm not allowed to because there are people that are gatekeeping me from being able to connect to God simply because of what they think I should be doing versus, you know, really finding that acceptance from God. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's kind of what's happening. So with Cardinal Tagle, he advocates for a pastoral approach that focuses on mercy and compassion rather than condemnation. So he believes that the church should journey with those who differ, emphasizing patience and understanding. How I wish we can really keep those words to heart, right? Practicing patience, practicing understanding, really trying to understand the other person versus telling them what we think they should do or why they're bad or stuff like that. So in conclusion, in terms of my personal reflections, once again, as a Filipino LGBTQ Christian, Cardinal Tagle's teachings really offer a sense of hope for me, in terms of feeling more included in the church. You might wonder why it's important to me, because it is. Because I grew up and I have my own reasons as well in terms of why this is important to me. And I don't expect everybody to understand why. Ultimately, I'm trying to find my way to being accepted by God. And maybe for the time being, I find the pathway through church to hopefully help me find that. But maybe it won't. I don't know. But anyway, I'm excited for the possibility that there's discussions right now of him being considered. I'm hopeful, but I'm also kind of fearful, because what if the next pope is or somebody that will take us back to take us backwards? What if somebody that gets selected as the pope is somebody that can take us backward? That's really kind of my concern, because I feel like there are people out there like myself who are really just trying to be connected, and they've done a good job of really paving the way towards more inclusivity. And whenever there's a change that happens, there's always uncertainty. We don't know whether there's going to be a continued momentum in terms of the progress made towards inclusivity, or it will, go back to the old ways. Kind of like what we've seen in other areas of life as well. But anyways, in conclusion, ultimately, to me, I'm really just gonna keep going. I'm really just gonna keep advocating for the message of love and compassion, and hopefully that will resonate with others as well. So I hope that you find this message helpful. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe or share your thoughts in the comment section. All right, so that's it for today. Have a nice day, and till the next one. Bye.